Welcome back to the Devori Darkin Show. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the government shutdown. And to be honest with you, it's probably one of the most annoying topics because I know it's all political theater at the end of the day. But I think there's a lot of nightmare news for Democrats because it's political suicide, in my opinion. And in fact, the people who are being negatively impacted, meaning the veterans, the troops, social programs, we're going to get into all that, obviously show you what both sides are saying. And then also Antifa. A couple of investigative journalists have exposed the way they are operating, how they're getting supplies, where they store them. I think that's an interesting story as well to get into. And let's not forget, today is Charlie Kirk's birthday. So, say a happy birthday to Charlie Kirk, wish the best and pray for his family and Turning Point USA. No matter how you feel about him, he still was an American citizen embodying the thing about free speech and what makes this country great. So we also want to shout out to the Charlie Kirk family and Turning Point USA. And shout out to you for tuning in today, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, the Devori Darkin Show. Common sense commentary for these uncommon times. All right. Let's kick things off with our first story, government shutdown. Here's Fox News providing the latest update, which is a vote that's coming up in the Senate today to see if we're going to open the government or not. Let's listen to that.
The Senate is expected to vote later today for an eighth time on a short-term extension to try and reopen the government.
But after a long holiday weekend away from Washington, it appears neither side is willing to give in. And from where I sit, both sides think they're winning. President Trump last night aboard Air Force One praising Republican leadership.
I talk to him all the time. John Thune's been great, and Mike has been great. Speaker, he's been great. Those two guys have done a great job. But we're dealing with a bunch of radical left lunatics that have lost an election in a landslide.
So that was from Air Force One, and this was on the Hill now. Chad Pergram tracking all of it. Chad, where are we right now? Good morning.
Good morning, Bill. We're on the brink of a 2-week shutdown. House Speaker Mike Johnson believes we're cruising toward the longest shutdown of all time, and there is no obvious exit ramp. However, the GOP believes Democrats will start to cave as people miss paychecks and are fired.
They're not voting on the funding bill. It's all to break a filibuster that the Democrats are doing, and it won't even give them the opportunity to vote on a funding bill. The funding bill would pass in a second if they would stop the filibuster.
Now, that's why some Republicans want the Senate to alter the filibuster specifically for spending bills. Then the GOP would not need help from the Democrats.
Yeah, opening or actually getting rid of the filibuster would open a Pandora's box, just so we're all clear, because if they do that, imagine what Democrats will try to pass through the Senate and vice versa. That's why they've yet to do it. Now, in case for the people in the back who don't understand, the filibuster just means that instead of requiring 60 votes, it just requires a majority, which would be 51. And listen, this government shutdown to me is political theater at its highest, because what's happening is this. Yes, Democrats in the past, they have passed CR time and time again. Republicans compromised time and time again. How many times were you screaming at Speaker Johnson because he compromised with the Democrats to keep the government open? Well, the difference is every time Speaker Johnson compromised with Democrats, it was Democrats pushing through a CR that had their priorities in it. The difference this time around is there are no priorities whatsoever. It's just a continuation of what they already approved back in March. That's it. And so what Democrats are trying to persuade the public to believe is that isn't the case, and Republicans are playing games and it's dirty, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the White House has taken, matters into their own hands. And in my opinion, they are pushing a form of propaganda. If you really think about it, I want you to pay attention to this story. So Kristi Noem is on a screen in a video basically talking about the government shutdown, and it's being posted in these airports. And here they are talking about how the airports are refusing to play this video. Let's take a look at that.
Several airports around the country are refusing to play a video from the Department of Homeland Security, blaming Democrats for the current government shutdown.
Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government. And because of this, many of our operations are impacted, and most of our TSA employees are working without pay.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who you just saw there, is facing growing criticism for the unusual message. CNN's Gabe Cohen is following this story for us. And Gabe, the video is intended to be played at airport security lines. When you're in line and you always look up and see that monitor, that's where that video normally plays. What more are you learning about this particular video?
Well, Jess, first off, we're still working to confirm exactly how many airports are actually playing this video, but the list of those publicly refusing to play it is still growing. We have heard from airports in Seattle, Portland, Las Vegas, Charlotte, North Carolina, a state that's gone for President Trump 3 times, all the way up to Westchester County Airport in New York, which told us in a statement, quote, "The PSA politicizes the impacts of a federal government shutdown on TSA operations, and the county finds the tone to be unnecessarily alarmist. It is inappropriate, unacceptable, and inconsistent with the values we expect from our nation's top public officials."
Yeah, so we already know where this is going, which is the Hatch Act, okay, which I'm going to show you a clip of how CNN views it. They believe the president, Trump administration, with this video is violating that act. But more importantly, and we're actually going to use AI to look up the Hatch Act and kind of educate ourselves as an example to show you what it's all about and I guess answer the question in real time, because I'm really interested to see. But the fact of the matter is what's in that video is not false. What Kristi Noem is saying is true. The Democrats are weaponizing this government shutdown for their own selfish reasons, and it's based on healthcare. And just so you guys are clear as well, healthcare is a strong issue for Democrats, and it's a weak issue for Republicans. So it makes sense from a strategic point of view why Democrats are doing this. Now, if they were weaponizing the government shutdown based on crime, I mean, that would be bad news, of course, because it's a weak issue for them. Healthcare is a strong issue for them, believe it or not. So these ACA subsidies, which is why they are refusing to open the government because they want to have that built into this CR, is why we still don't have the government open right now. And it's something that should be debated after the government opens. Okay, so let's hear CNN's perception of the Hatch Act and whether or not the administration is violating it. And then we're going to go to a browser and look it up. Let's go ahead and play that.
It is not just the tone here. There are also concerns that airing a video like this at TSA checkpoints could violate the Hatch Act, which limits political activities for federal workers in order to make sure that government programs are nonpartisan. Of course, TSA being one of those. This video flat out blames Democrats for the government shutdown and for disrupting air travel, including forcing TSA workers to work without pay. And this video would be playing right in front of many of those workers in those checkpoint lines, dropping them right into the center of this political fight. Now, DHS has defended the video. They sent us a statement saying, in part, that it is unfortunate that our workforce has been put in this position due to political gamesmanship. But I will say, some have pointed out the irony that this video appears to be exactly that, political gamesmanship, Jess, given that DHS still insists that security operations remain unimpacted at this point. And I've been hearing these concerns for weeks from officials inside DHS, given that at the beginning of the shutdown, they sent a memo to all staff blaming Democrats for the furloughs that were coming. And we've also seen those government website banners blaming Democrats for the shutdown. This, Jess, appears to be just one more piece of the pressure campaign against Democratic lawmakers.
Yeah, so it's no secret what the Trump administration is doing as far as their marketing regarding the government shutdown. So he was right. There are banners on the whitehouse.gov website and on other federal government websites that says the government shutdown is because of Democrats and their refusal to do the right thing, which based on principles, it is very true. It's facts. They are refusing to do the right thing. It's not a partisan opinion. It just is what it is right now. A clean CR. We could have had the government open last week, but they're standing firm in what they want to do, which is to take this to October 18th, the No Kings protest, which we'll get to later in this show. But I digress. The point here is Democrats have made a terrible mistake, in my opinion. And so this is how the Trump administration is wanting to respond. So this actually takes me to where I want to show you guys exactly what is the Hatch Act, what does it entail, and are they violated? And then we can answer, and I want you guys to answer in the chat box as we go through this, If you agree, is the administration violating it or not? We'll see. Now, before we get there, let me ask you a question here. How much time do you spend every day on a web browser? I bet a lot, right? How much time do you spend clicking around online, searching, scrolling, typing endless tabs? It's a lot, right? Well, there's a new AI web browser, which we're about to use to look up the Hatch Act, called Comet, and it was built by Perplexity AI. This is completely changing the way you're able to interact with your normal browser. Using Comet feels like having a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you across the internet. And it's not about just giving you answers, but doing thorough research, scheduling, sending emails, all of that. You can ask Comet to handle tasks for you, and it literally clicks, types, search, and scrolls just like you would to get things done for you in the background while you go about your normal day. All right, so why don't we actually bring up Comet so you guys can see it there for yourself. And I'm gonna do the basic thing that we all do every day, because I use AI constantly, in case you don't know that. Every day, I'm just gonna search this. And you know how you ask the question can obviously dictate the answer, right? So I'm just gonna say, is the Kristi Noem video regarding government shutdown. Let's go ahead and fix that. It knows what I'm typing. Regarding government shutdown that is being played in airports, a violation of the Hatch Act. Okay. Just going to ask a basic question. Then I'm going to show you how cool this browser is, because we can go a little deeper as well. Let's see, Kristi Noem video. Let me zoom in for people who are blind like me. There we go. I think you guys can see that a little better. Kristi Noem video blaming Democrats for the government shutdown, which is being played for requests to be played in airport TSA lines, has sparked significant debate. However, legal experts are divided. Some airport and local officials believe airing the video likely violates the Hatch Act because it contains clear partisan messaging, blaming one party for the shutdown. However, at least one legal specialist cited in Forbes has argued that technically the video may not violate the Hatch Act since it is not directly linked to any election campaign. Okay, that's a key word, but does label the use of federal assets for partisan messages as inappropriate. So it's more of a moral issue, it looks like to me. So why don't we click here at the top right corner, you can choose your assistant. And in the assistant, you can pretty much tell it to give you opposing views. You know, let me see if I can go here with it. Let's do this. Give me opposing views from both sides of this debate. There we go. And it's literally going to go to these websites. It's going to download all the information. Then it's going to turn it into a bullet point. I don't want to make it my default browser at this point. Let's keep going. Okay. We already know why they're going to say it violates the Hatch Act, because they believe it's politically partisan. That's all it really is. So let's skip that to go to position 2. Not a technical Hatch Act violation, though arguably inappropriate. See, that's the summary of the Trump administration, the way he likes to do things. Sometimes he's doing things that people emotionally find inappropriate. They may find it morally inappropriate, but it's not illegal. And according to the left, if they deem something to be immoral, unethical, they disagree with it, they don't understand it, they wrap it up under every single concept, or the main concept from them, which is this is a violation of our constitutional rights. It's a threat to democracy. You know, it's hate speech, right? They literally water down the definitions of these terms, which is why I wanted to show you guys what Comet had to tell us here. So basically, practical outcomes. Some commentary frames the controversy as more proprietary and norms than a clear statutory breach, while still acknowledging the optics problem. So it's not clear. And it seems to me that it's more related to an election campaign used by the federal government to push certain messages, video, audio, email, text, things like that. And this isn't about an election. So that's kind of my takeaway. But why don't you guys let me know in the comment section, do you believe it's a violation of the Hatch Act or not? And I'll read your guys' responses once we get there. All right, so that's what Comet, this browser made by Perplexity AI, is all about. That's just an example. You can also send emails. It could shop for you and do particularly deep dive searches on your behalf. And you don't even have to be looking at the screen for it to happen. But anyways, if you're interested in that type of web browser for yourself, download Perplexity's new AI web browser, Comet, by heading to the description below. We'll also have our moderators put this in the chat box on YouTube and Rumble. And you guys can download it for yourself. And guess what? When you do it, you're going to get a month of Rumble Premium free, which you're going to need because on Fridays, our live stream is with Rumble Premium, where I ask you questions directly. We go back and forth. It's much more intimate, much more about you leading the show. And so that's why you guys are going to want to download that. All right, let's head back and pick up where we left off, because according to some commentators that leans left, they were on CNN last night on a show that I don't understand why it continues to air. We're talking about Abby Phillips. I mean, this show is just, it's pure Donald Trump hate 100% of the time. And the only person pushing back on a consistent basis is Scott Jennings. But even now at this point, it's almost become unwatchable. So why am I showing it to you? Because I want you to see what the other side is thinking about the government shutdown. Let's go ahead and play that.
I mean,
open the government.
Increasingly, you're hearing Republicans saying we need to fix the health care.
Yeah, you said that.
This. Like they recognize it's a problem.
You said that Democrats are dying on this hill, but a lot of Republicans are climbing up the same hill right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been outspoken about it. Mike Johnson got confronted on C-SPAN the other day by a Republican. I don't know. I know I'm a lot younger than you, so I'm closer to like fifth grade government 101, but. This takes compromise. If you have 53 Republicans and you can't get 7 Democrats to sign on, that means they're not compromising. There were 13 CRs passed under Biden because they let Republicans into the room and they said, listen, you guys can talk to us. We'll talk to you. We'll negotiate. In this case, Democrats are essentially being shut out, and Donald Trump is posting AI memes of Hakeem Jeffries with a sombrero. So if you want to talk about a circus,
it's a meme war.
It's reciprocal from the Democrats. Donald Trump is the president. He should have a say.
So let me just, real quick, Scott. Let me play. This is Trump in 2019, back when
crazy. Listen, the compromise has to come from Democrats, and they're not going to compromise. They don't compromise. That's the interesting thing about conservatives. And some conservatives are calling this out on our side, which is stop compromising. Well, you know, if you're going to get anything done in Washington, there has to be some level of compromise. It's like a life lesson. If you want to get anything done in your marriage, in your relationships, at work, I mean, compromise is on the table somewhere, shape, or form, okay? It's just the reality to it. And Republicans under Speaker Johnson, they've been compromising left and right ever since he was introduced as Speaker. And as I said in the beginning, I know some of you guys witnessed that and you weren't happy about his role a few times. In fact, some of us actually did not want him to continue to be Speaker, but that's who the president wanted. And so we support the president. Anyways, that's not Democrats. They're not going to compromise. So this shutdown will continue to drag on while more innocent Americans are affected. And the hardcore truth about that is it's a careful reminder. It's a harsh reminder for some people out there that when you are financially in a position where your livelihood depends on the federal government, that means you're exposed. It means you're exposed. And it's a harsh reality about America. And that's the thing about getting a government job. Great benefits, great pay. But if the government shuts down, you're going to have some issues. And that's exactly what we're witnessing. Now, let's go to this next clip. This is Leader Thune, just moments ago, actually, on Fox News with Harrison Faulkner. And he says this is the next step. Let's go and take a look
what
at that.
happens next?
Well, we're only stuck as long as a handful of Democrats decide they want to follow the leader and play politics rather than do the right thing on behalf of the American people and open up the government. That's where we are here. So we're going to vote again today. We have 55 of 100 United States senators voting to reopen the government. We need 5 more Democrats. It takes 60 to do most things in the United States Senate. And all we need is 5 Democrats. But their leadership is intent on pacifying and trying to appease this far left base. They've got this big rally coming up next Saturday, which everybody thinks they want to get behind them before they do anything to open up the government. But it's really straightforward. I mean, this is the legislation right here. It's 24 pages long. It is clean. It is nonpartisan. It has no policy writers, no partisan gimmicks. This is a straightforward way to open up the government. It has passed the House. It is sitting at the desk in the Senate. We can pick it up and pass it today. The president will sign it into law today. The government opens up, and all these questions about who gets paid, who doesn't get paid, which agencies and departments are going to be prioritized, those all go by the wayside. It is that straightforward. We are trying to open up the government. The Democrats are not. They are playing politics. It needs to stop, and it needs to stop now.
Yeah, only a reasonable person would agree with what he said. But Democrats are not reasonable. They're unreasonable. They are irrational. They're erratic. Okay, they've turned into this radical party that are doing things from a place of victimization, in my opinion. I mean, everything they do is from the mindset of a victim. That's why they're out of control emotionally. And now their leaders are out of control emotionally, which is why they just won't open the government. I mean, I think it's that clear. So what is an example of why this government shutdown is about to be a problem if they continue to let this drag on? Well, in this next clip, we get to hear what's on the horizon towards the end of this month. If they don't open the government, food stamps are going to go bye-bye for some people. Let's watch that.
It's bad news for the 1 million people getting food stamps here in Arizona. A new report from Axios says the federal program will run out of money if the D.C. standoff rolls into next month. That means tens of thousands cutting back on meals and other vital expenses to make their money last until the government is up and running again.
Interesting. 1 million people out of Arizona. Now imagine all the other states. That's why we want to play it for you. Imagine the sheer numbers of that. And that's just one program. I mean, there's plenty of them, okay? And we can spend all day long about which program's going to be impacted and when that's going to happen. But we still arrive at the bottom line here as it pertains to the government shutdown. Democrats refuse to do the sensible thing, to do the reasonable thing, to be the adult in the room, and that is to get the government back open and then have this fight on principle. There's no question about it. This is a principled choice. They're not making a principled choice, but it is one. Hey, we opened the government because the Republicans did something that they normally don't do. They gave us a clean CR. No spin, no partisan. Let's just open it, and then we can fight it out all the way to the end. Because according to what Speaker Johnson was saying, this CR is only going to last for, I think it's 7 weeks or something like that. So even if they open the government, they're going to have this conversation a month and a half from now again. And maybe the government will shut down again, I guess. All right, so let's go to Speaker Johnson. And this is about the president when he announced that he's not going to allow this government shutdown to impact the troops. Because as you guys know, they did receive their last paycheck. And according to the way things are right now, that is their last paycheck, meaning until the government opens again. Well, he says he wants to divert funds to make sure the troops get paid. And of course, what do Democrats do? They want to challenge him in the court system for doing so. So here's Speaker Johnson's reaction to that.
Look, my understanding of this is they have every right to move the funds around, duly appropriated dollars from Congress to the Department of Defense. There were some R&D accounts that had not been spent, and that's my understanding is that's the money that's being used to pay the troops right now. If the Democrats want to go to court and challenge troops being paid, bring it, okay? I'm grateful for a commander-in-chief who understands the priorities of the country, the necessity of national defense, and the urgency that we all feel and have voted for 8 times. Republicans have voted in Congress 8 times now between House and Senate to fund the troops and pay federal workers in all these essential jobs and agencies, because we understand the necessity of that. Meanwhile, the Democrats voted 8 times to block their paychecks. I'm grateful we have a president who is willing to step up and do the right thing. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, so are we. So are we. We have a president who knows how to take action. He knows how to go out there and get what the American people have mandated him to do, right? It's exactly what's happening with the crime, immigration, foreign policy. It's a president who knows how to lead, unlike the Biden administration. Okay, these are individuals nowhere to be found, and in fact made problems even worse in America, because we know the federal government has a spending problem, no doubt about it. And there's not much that I don't think there's much that we can really do about it, in my opinion. But it doesn't distract from the point that depending on the federal government financially is a bad mistake. It really is. All right, so what we're going to do is go to your guys' chats here because I want to see what you guys have to say, especially regarding the Hatch Act, and get your guys' feedback on that to see if you guys believe the administration violated it or not. At this point, I don't think they did, but I definitely can see how people may argue that they don't like it. Okay, they don't agree with it, or they think it's immoral or whatever. That's fine. Okay, fine. It's the federal government, okay? I don't think they are the most morally or ethically sound individuals. All right, we're in the Rumble chat at this point. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see what you guys have to say on Rumble. Oh, we're having streaming buffing issues again, huh? Interesting. Okay, let's see here. I hate Johnson's face. That dude sucks. Okay. Let's see. Yep. If you could be so kind, hit the like button. That would be great. We are streaming Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, guys, bringing you common sense commentaries, showing you guys what both sides are saying, and giving it to you in a clear, concise, bottom line manner, okay? I don't think most of the stuff that you're hearing on a daily basis is stuff you don't already know. But I do believe people want to be informed, and they definitely want to be aware of what the arguments are, and they can draw their own conclusions about what's being debated in the public town square. And that's what we're doing every day here. Let's see here. I've never voted Democrat, but last I checked, the Republicans have a majority and can pass a bill with a simple majority. No, they can't. The only way they're going to be able to do that is by getting rid of the filibuster. That's what we talked about earlier. It requires 60 votes at this point in time. Getting rid of it would go down to 51. That's a Pandora's box because that would give Democrats their ability to pass certain things that obviously won't be good for this nation, and they would only need 51 votes. And who's to say if we could put the filibuster back if we removed it in a period of time where it doesn't allow Democrats to do what they want to do. So it's a huge risk. It's an unnecessary risk at this point. All right, let's keep reading here. The shutdown has absolutely zero to anyone I know at all. The only people suffering are tit sucker, government tax leech jobs, and welfare ticks. Well, that's one way of putting it. That's one way of putting it. Okay, let's see. What else? Come on, Rumble. What else do you have to say? Do you guys believe that it's a violation of the Hatch Act or not? Democrats have had lots of time to fix the Medi-Cal health care, but they just chose to give more to illegals, not the U.S. citizens. And guess what? We have proof of that coming up in our second story about how Democrats are diverting funds to continue to fund health care for illegal aliens in an amount that is really sad, if you ask me. It's malpractice, okay? It's literally repeating the same thing Biden was doing, okay, which is nothing, okay? Diverting money to future voters. That's what some people believe, and I'm of that mindset. Why else would you allow everybody and their mom to just cross over the border illegally? Why? And then even when they cross over the border illegally, then you gave them TPS, temporary protective status. How do you reward someone who crossed the border illegally with TPS? I'm not understanding that. Okay, let's keep reading here. Just wait until you need AI approved seal to turn in your research paper. Yeah, I know, right? Republicans control both houses. Yeah, you're just a troll. We get it. Democrats are saying as long as we have any power at all, we will use it to kill you off. Yeah. They are the party of violence, so no question about that. That is the unfortunate truth. You know, the more I talk about this every day, the more I realize that politics in general violates all common sense. There's nothing common sense about politics. And the only person actually, I guess, injecting common sense into politics would be the Trump administration. And that doesn't mean everything that they're doing is the right thing or the best thing. But if you're going to ask me to choose between the choices that the Trump administration has made versus the choices that Democrats have made, I think I'm going with the Trump administration. Okay, let's go to YouTube and see what you guys have to say today. Across the United States, parents are waking up to how deeply politics has infiltrated K through 12 education. Absolutely. Let's see here. Always blaming the past administration is still high. Gasoline is still high. Groceries are still high. You know what? I love these disagreements. I can't wait for disagreements where I can have you guys call in, disagree with me, and we could just have a debate. If you guys, I guess, for the Democrats out there, if they're willing to have a debate, right? But let me just say this really briefly here. And I don't even have to prove it to you. Why don't you guys put it in the chat box? How many of you guys have seen the price of gas decline in your city or state? Now, the only place gas has not declined, because I know it, because we just moved from there, and that is California. California is still high. Why? Because they made legislation after the fact that impacted the price of gasoline in California. And not to mention, they charge a gasoline tax, in case you guys didn't know that. So why don't you guys let me know, what is the price of gas in your city, in your state? Put in the chat box so people can see it for themselves. And also, do you guys believe that the price of groceries, the price has come down? Because the only answer to that question is from the actual people of America, not political commentators telling you what they want you to hear. So why don't you guys tell me in the chat, do you guys believe the grocery prices have come down for you, whether it's a little, a lot? Just, let me know in the comments section. Let's see here. No decline on gas in California. I know. It's gone down here in North Carolina. It's gone down in Florida, down here in Oklahoma, West Virginia, decline in Wisconsin. Gas is under $3 a gallon in Arizona. Yeah, that's the thing. Once my wife and I moved to Texas, I mean, the gas is crazy. I think it's $2.40 or something like that. In California, where we were living, it was $6. Imagine spending $6 a gallon on gas, and you have a family, and you're driving every single day, and you're going to work. That's why people move out of California. It's crazy. What are you paying for exactly? You paying for great weather? Well, if you crave great weather, just go visit California then, and then go back home, right? We have a super chat here. Hey, DeVore, man, really impressed with how well you put together your show. You're a top tier, my brother. Thank you so much for your super chat. All right, let's see. Grocery prices have not come down here in New York City. Yeah, I think that's another place where you're not going to see anything come down. I could see that. I'm from Ohio. Prices are at $2.75. Okay. $2.60. Yeah, these are great prices. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Now, I had a question come in about what the Hatch Act is. I guess some of you guys weren't very clear, or I didn't make it very clear. So let me go ahead and do you guys a favor here, because I am intrigued by it. I like talking about these things a lot. So let me just go there. Let's bring this back up for you guys. What is the Hatch Act exactly? Let's see here. Let's go to me here. Sorry about that. And let's open this up. So basically, it's a policy, while we get this pulled up, that prevents the federal government from pushing certain political messages during a campaign to the American people using federal resources, okay? And I'll let the comment browser, which we talked about earlier from Perplexity, explain it to you guys here. All right, let me zoom out for you guys here so you can see it. What is the Hatch Act? and give me a simple analogy to explain it. I spelled analogy wrong. Here we go. All right, let's get rid of assistant here. Zoom in. Here it is. The Hatch Act is a U.S. law that prevents federal employees from participating in certain political activities while on the job, using government resources, or speaking in their official capacity. Its main purpose is to keep government workplaces free from partisan influence and ensure that public service is not used for political advantage. Now, playing that video, I'm not too sure that is political advantage. Why do I say that? Well, because the government is shut down. Are we really talking about politics at this point? We're talking about getting these public service companies and like TSA and air traffic controllers and all of these agencies back open and funded. But okay, simple analogy. The Hatch Act is like a rule in school that says teachers cannot campaign for student council candidates during class time or while wearing their school badges. Teachers can have personal preferences, but they can't use their authority, classroom, or school resources to push for one candidate while on duty. The goal is to keep teaching fair for everyone. Well, I wish that was a reality in most of the country, which we know it's not in Democrat-run states. Okay. If I just stop right here, that analogy really screams to me about what's wrong with universities, because we know professors these days, everything is about Trump. Trump this, Trump that, Trumpity, Trump, Trump, right? And they're pushing all this propaganda to these students, but I'm going to get away from that anyways. So based on that, I guess, definition and analogy from this Perplexity AI browser named Comet. Again, if you guys want to download this browser, you can by going in the chat or in the description below this video. Anyways, what do you guys think? Do you think that video of Kristi Noem stating that, hey, the federal government's trying to keep TSA running, trying to keep the airport safe, trying to make sure air traffic controllers are able to show up, but unfortunately, services may be impacted because the government is shut down due to Democrats' unwillingness to vote? Is that a political partisan message? I think that is a good debate to have. Me initially thinking it's kind of like 60-40. I would say 60 no, 40 yes for me, because the Democrat part automatically kind of makes it a political message. But overall, as a common sense perspective, do I have a problem with it? No, I don't. I think the American people need to be made aware of what's going on, because mainstream media won't do it. And they've tried here or there. You know, they push back on Democrats, of course. We saw what happened with Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries, who continues to get humiliated, etc. But why don't we move to story number 2, which is the madness regarding the funding of illegal aliens in healthcare. So Fox and Friends this morning ran this story about the amount of money Oregon has been using on healthcare for illegal aliens versus the money they've been using on policing. And as we hear this clip, just understand Chicago is in the same position. They spend more money on illegal aliens than they do on policing. But hey, they say they want to keep their neighborhood safe, right? Let's go ahead and play that now.
Is reportedly spending more in its budget on health benefits for illegal migrants than it sets aside for state police. Oregon officials expect to allocate $1.5 billion in combined state and federal tax dollars on a program that offers health benefits to illegal migrants from 2025 to 2027. Now, during that very same period, they expect to spend $717 million on the Oregon State Police.
That's almost half, meaning twice as much. 1.5, 700 million. That is twice as much. So let me ask you guys a question. Where is the $1.5 million actually going to? Does Oregon actually spend $1.5 billion on healthcare? I'm really curious to know that. I think that is wild. If you ask me, let me look this up really quickly here. I have to ask that question. How much does Oregon spend on healthcare? Because 1.5 billion it's insane. It's insanity. Oh Lord, I got to show you guys this. This is wild. This is wild. Look at this, guys. This is crazy. Oregon spent nearly $38.75 billion on healthcare in 2023, and spending per person was about $10,300 that year. The proposed budget for the Oregon Health Authority for the 2025-2027 is approximately $39.6 billion for 2 years, funded by both state and federal sources. Wow. It's fascinating. Let's go here. I just can't get enough of that. That is insane. How about for illegal aliens? Let's see what Perplexity has to tell us here. Yeah, there it is. 1.5 billion. I just wanted to fact check it, with around 87% of that coming from the state's general fund and the rest from federal funds. What? Did you guys see that? Let me read it to you. Oregon is projected to spend about $1.5 billion on healthcare for undocumented immigrants during the 2025-2027, with around 87% coming from the state's general fund and the rest from federal funds. I thought federally illegals are not getting healthcare. I thought taxpayer money isn't going to that. This state-funded program known as Healthier Oregon currently covers more than 100,000 undocumented residents and provides them with full medical coverage, including primary care, emergency care, dental, behavioral health services, similar to what Medicaid offers. So let me get this straight. As someone who served 13 years, this is going to blow your mind. Someone who served 13 years in the military. You know what's going to happen if I go to the emergency room? I will still get a bill in the mail because I did not retire from the military. Even though I served 13 years, if I go to a VA hospital and I get work done, they're going to send me a bill in the mail. Now, it's not really that expensive, just to be honest with you. There is a copay. But my thing is, these people are getting the same level of care as an active duty military soldier would get. That's the cool thing about serving in the military. Just as a personal note, I used to tell my wife this when I do my, she laughs at me because I just tell the same stories over and over and over again. If you guys serve in the military, you know that feeling, right? Because they're just memories you can't escape. Anyways, I used to tell her all the time, I went to the emergency room multiple times, never had to pay a dime, which I'm grateful for, right? I mean, that's the price you pay, I guess, when you serve in the military. And I think taxpayers don't have a problem with that. But taxpayers do have a problem when you're talking about illegal aliens getting the same amount of health care benefits as active duty service members. Isn't that shattering? It's interesting. And they're getting more, I think, in some capacity here. So full medical coverage, primary care, emergency care, dental, behavioral health services. The spending has dramatically increased since the program began in 2021. Interesting. 2021. Who was the president? When it was initially capped at $100 million for its first year, the ongoing costs are a significant part of Oregon's overall healthcare expenditures and represent a clear policy choice to provide coverage regardless of immigration status. Now, I'm using this browser called Comment from Perplexity AI. If you guys want to use it yourself, just download it. It's in the chat. At any rate, imagine what California is spending. Imagine Massachusetts, because they are far gone. Imagine Illinois. Imagine Washington. Not Washington, D.C., Washington. Minnesota. It's interesting, right? So I think this little research here has definitely proven beyond a reasonable doubt that we have a spending problem, particularly in these states who are prioritizing illegal aliens over American citizens. And here is an example of that. Business owner out of Portland, this clip has been going viral, exposing Portland's leadership for obviously not prioritizing small businesses, but prioritizing their own selfish needs. Take a listen.
And I have to be honest, I have never felt so unsafe in this city. A few months ago at our bar, there's a group of people that will descend. We have to shut down all the time, 45 people. two women in the group started breaking glass in our bar, stabbing each other. Our bartender called us. We pulled up the security cameras live. She was screaming. Blood splattered on the security cameras. The police came. No name was taken. No report. No accountability. And it's not an isolated incident. We've had people that have been 86. They come back with guns in hand, standing a foot off of our sidewalk for hours every single weekend. Every single weekend. Our staff is terrified. We've endured break-ins, vandalism. We've been held up by gunpoint. And it feels like no one is coming. What is going to happen? How is this acceptable? We need more trained police officers. We need them, like a ton. We are small business owners. We are the heartbeat of Portland, and we are hanging on by a thread. And within weeks, all I see is the coffee shop leaving. Everybody's leaving. I'm like, where are you going? We're leaving Portland. We're out of here. This is seriously life or death for.
Okay. Let me explain something to you guys. I had a conversation with a good friend about this concept. I've shared some of it on my YouTube channel, and I didn't really agree with it when he first told me, and I was like, when I thought about it, I was like, okay, it's a good point actually, and it's a harsh reality. Listen, if you live in a city like Portland, that's on you, because at this point you should have moved a long time ago. There's no excuse. You either get a second job, save up the money, and move. Because expecting people like Portland, California, Chicago, New York City, which is what we're about to witness here, you think they're going to change? Results show they are not changing. Results show they're doubling down even more. Now, 1.5 billion versus 700 million for the police, and what she is saying lines up to me. But what should you do about it? That is the most important question. When you're talking about that you're a victim to something you disagree with, the only question that matters, what are you going to do about it? It's the same message I had for the black community when we did our video yesterday about how Gavin Newsom is trying to bring back reparations in California. He's serious this time. He signed a bill. It's going to happen some way, shape, or form. We'll see, obviously, but actions speak louder than words. It's the same thing I tell my message for the black community, which is, what are you going to do about it? You think the white man is the problem? What are you going to do about it? Right? I mean, that's the only question that matters. What you should do about it is make a decision for yourself and stop depending on everybody else. Move on. And that's why it's interesting when we continue to hear these stories that these people should just move. I moved. My wife and I, we moved.
Against injustice.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. Plenty of people moved. And plenty of people will continue to move. I'm going to get to Hillary Clinton here shortly, but plenty of people will move. And they should, like yesterday. There's no saving Portland. Just let it destroy itself. Okay, that is really the bottom line to all of this. All right, now we can go to Hillary Clinton because, after you heard that and I showed you the facts of the case, here's how Hillary Clinton is responding.
Against injustice. These women remind us of the great privilege and also the great obligation we all have to use our own voices. We cannot be silent in the face of corruption and injustice anywhere, including here at home. So as we lift up our allies who are fighting for democracy and freedom, let's also lift up those here who are trying to do the same. Against the militarization of our cities, against the stripping of rights, against corruption out in the open, against the kind of actions being taken that are right out of the authoritarian playbook.
All right. I don't want to hear any more from her. I only play it just so we get both sides of the case. Listen, isn't it interesting how much time Democrats spend speaking that way, but they don't talk about what we just heard from that Portland business owner. And that's just one. That's just one. Imagine the amount of business owners out of Minneapolis, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle that had to shut down their places because of crime and illegal immigration and homelessness. Think about that. It's almost a three-edged monster here, okay? A three-headed monster. Democrats stand for illegal immigration, which obviously increases the crime that they refuse to go down on, okay? I mean, just it's insanity. All right. So let's go to Antifa, as I told you. So Nick Shirley, who's a great viral and accomplished, successful content creator on the conservative movement, here he is exposing Antifa in Portland and how they're actually getting the supplies and where they're storing these supplies. Let's go to take a look at that now.
I'm here in Portland right now, and it looks like Antifa, the protesters here, have had a shipment dropped off in a U-Haul right here. They're saying it's all the stuff that's been taken away from rapid response and from people since they've been out here. So there's a whole U-Haul full of stuff that's been getting dropped off right now of all of the equipment from the past few months of their protest. You have all this stuff that's getting dropped off right here. You have all of the inflatables as well that the people have been protesting in. A little strange, they have a U-Haul shipment full of all of the stuff that's apparently been taken away. So stuff's been coming in. There's still protesters out right now. It's like 4 p.m. right now, I believe. And the protesters are starting to show up here to the ICE facility in Portland.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's Exhibit A. Let's go to Exhibit B. This is Andy.
Thank you for the donation, Kyle. You're awesome. Yes, sir. Let's go see where they take it. Look, they're going inside here. Look at this. They're literally going inside of here. They're literally going inside of this place. What is this place? What is this place? We need to figure out what this place is. I think it's a storage place. Reserved for South Waterfront Storage. So they got a storage in here, you guys. They got a storage in here. They got a storage in there. That's crazy. South Waterfront Heated Storage. Did you guys know you guys are supporting terrorists out here? You guys have literal terrorists bringing shit into your company. You better you better do something about that before Trump comes after these people.
Okay. All right. So there's two videos there showing you Antifa. And the reason why I want to show them to you because it rebukes the talking point that Antifa is not an organization. I see the post on X earlier this morning. Antifa is not an organization. Proud Boys are. And they go down this whole list of who is and who isn't, right? And at the end, I was like, you know, what's interesting is that the Proud Boys are not attacking ICE officers in broad daylight. Proud Boys are not shooting at ICE officers and killing a migrant in the process of doing that. I mean, Proud Boys are not ramming federal authorities off the road. Proud Boys are not flashing lasers at military helicopters. That does not mean I support the Proud Boys, okay? Or any other extremist organization that is. But it's to prove the point that we have a misunderstanding in this country. If people are going to gaslight the American people into thinking that Antifa isn't real, I mean, what is it? I got a beach property in Tennessee to sell you. It's delusion. It's gaslighting at best. And unfortunately, this is who that party has become, a bunch of gaslighters. So bottom line is things are going to continue to escalate. The innocent American citizen who is not wrapped up in politics will be negatively impacted, just like that Portland business owner. She seems like an individual who probably her first priority isn't politics, just running a business. She doesn't have time for all that. I mean, think about the people who have time, and I say this all the time, to show up to these protests, get nude, get into fights with ICE officers, ram them off the road, play laser tag with military helicopters. I mean, those are people who are mentally unwell. They have all this time on their hands. So I guess the question here, what about the No Kings protests? Is that normal for us to continue to allow? You could peacefully protest. I'm with that. But when it turns violent, it's a problem, right? Well, here is one of the leaders of the No Kings protests who is on MSDNC saying that the No Kings protest is peaceful and it's the most American thing that the people can do.
It's also funny that they can't actually say no kings. They've got to make some other name up for it because they understand it. They say no kings. How is that objectionable? Right. How could anybody say that that's anything other than the most American thing since apple pie? But I do think we have to hold two things in our head at the same time. One, anybody who's been to a protest this year that's been organized by Indivisible or No Kings has seen moms and grandmas and kids and dogs and funny chants, and it was a feeling of joyous power, a crackdown on free speech. So we should show up in force, and we should take care. We should attend the security training briefings. We should.
All right. I can't hear anymore. So, okay. Silencing free speech. I don't think we have to talk about that. We saw what happened already under the Biden administration. People are still censored today. In fact, Alex Jones, the Supreme Court rejected his appeal. They don't even want to hear it. $1.5 billion he's on the hook for. Yeah. So that's just another example of the craziness that continues to exist in our country. All right. So let me, I guess I have some time to read some of your guys' chats here because I know you guys have been watching us here and we appreciate you tuning in Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, giving you guys common sense commentary for these uncommon times. Let's see what you're saying on YouTube. Last one must have worked since we don't have a king. Good job, guys. No clowns. Yeah, it's no clowns protest. I agree. Yeah. DeVore, thank you for speaking the truth. It's important to hear both sides, even though it hurts our ears. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Yeah, I appreciate you guys as well. Let's see. That would play right into the hands of the socialist communist system that they want. Exactly. I totally agree. Okay. Let's see what we got on Rumble. Let's see what you guys are talking about there. Definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's see here. Let's scroll all the way down because I missed a lot of your comments earlier in the show. There we go. Okay. Well, it's MSNBC. Who watches them? Half the country, believe it or not. Let's see here. Mark Cuban is a drag. I agree with you. Gas $2.75 in Northeast Ohio. The leader of Antifa is Soros and DNC. Do you believe that they would advertise that? Of course not. Yeah. Every American is a king or queen in their own right. Yeah. Trolls slithering here too. Yeah, we have a lot of trolls in the comments today. We must be doing something right. We must be doing something right. All right, so let's go back to me here as we wrap up this show. Okay, so what do you guys think overall? Government shutdown. How do you think it's going to end? Put your answers in the chat. How do you think this is going to end? Do you think it's going to end this week or you think it's going to drag on? And who will be blamed in the end? And then finally, what's your thought process about the No Clowns protest? Or I guess that's a better way of saying it. And do you think it's the American thing to do, especially when a part of these protests I know will turn violent because they always do. Something's going to be vandalized, something's going to be damaged, etc. I think that's the bottom line to it. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are about all that. All right. So we have another day in the books. I want to appreciate you guys coming out today and showing your support. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Monday through Friday, we go live 1 p.m. Eastern time. We also upload rapid updates on our YouTube channel and Rumble. And if you want to support the show, definitely find us on Rumble Premium on Friday. If you don't want to do that, you could just go to the links in the description below, shop our merch store, buy us a cup of coffee, support my producers, my team. So I want to shout out Rumble, shout out YouTube, shout out my producer, my wife, and shout out to you for watching us today. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Take care, guys.